Okay, I want to talk to you about insurance. I know it's not a fun subject. It's not something we like to talk about or think about, like, oh, insurance. I hate paying my insurance. I hate dealing with insurance. But here's the thing: insurance is an essential part of your financial wellness. And believe me, I get it. I fought with my insurance yesterday on health insurance on some reimbursements that we were supposed to get that we're not getting now. I agree. I don't like to deal with insurance. I hate insurance, but guess what? It's one of those evil necessities that we have to have as part of our full financial wellness, because it's when we don't have it in place that something bad happens. And then what are we going to do? So let's talk about the 8 different types of insurance you have to have. These are non-negotiable. You need to have these as part of your insurance plan, as part of your financial plan. These are things you need to have. And if you do not have them, you need to put on your goal list. I'm going to start getting these insurances because these are an essential part of financial wellness. Number 1, auto insurance. You need to have auto insurance, even if your car is paid off, even if it's a junk car, a beater, whatever it is, doesn't mean you have to have the full coverage policy. You need to have auto insurance because it protects you and your health, and it also protects you against liability if you cause an accident. Having auto insurance is extremely important. It is a very important piece of financial wellness and of one of those essential types of insurance. So if you don't have auto insurance, or maybe you're not sure if you're overpaying or if you're properly covered, go talk to your agent. And if they can't give you the answers to your questions and they can't spell it all out for you, find a new agent. There are plenty of people out there that sell auto insurance. There are plenty of people that do insurance in general that do care about their customers and are going to help make sure you're not overpaying and that you're covered properly. You're not overcovered, you're not undercovered. So auto insurance is number 1. Number 2, home or renters. So if you own a home, it is non-negotiable. You need to have homeowners insurance. This covers you from storm damage. This can cover you from flooding if you're in a flood zone. This can cover you for somebody broke into your home or your house burnt down or any of these horrible things that can happen. Make sure you have homeowners insurance. Let's say you're on the other side. You don't own a home, but you rent. Whether it's an apartment, a home, you rent, have renters insurance, because this covers you and your valuables should something happen. We've seen those stories where the whole apartment building burns down. That means all of those people's things and belongings are now gone. And guess what? If you don't have renter's insurance, you have nothing to do. You can't do anything about it. You are on your own. It is strictly on you to figure out how to get those things back. You don't get, insurance isn't going to give you a check to go buy new bed or clothes or items, because you should have had renter's insurance. And renter's insurance is extremely cheap. You're looking at $10, $15 a month in a policy. It's extremely affordable. There's no excuse not to have it. Give up the Starbucks or give up the fast food to have renter's insurance if you rent. Number 3, health insurance. Now, this is a big one, and it can be very controversial because health insurance can be extremely expensive. If you are not getting health insurance through your business, like if your workplace, if you are self-employed, insurance can be extremely expensive on health insurance, but a medical emergency and a medical bill can be a lot more. You know, the number 1 debt in collections is medical debt, because people get billed because they didn't have insurance and they can't afford the debt that they have now for their medical. There's plenty of options out there, whether you get a policy through your employer, whether you go through a broker. Health insurance is essential because it is non-negotiable. And the reality is we are all going to get sick at some point. We are all going to need a hospital at some point. We're all going to need a doctor at some point. And so you're better off having insurance for when those things happen, because otherwise you're going to be in big trouble if you don't. You'll quickly find yourself in significant debt, declaring bankruptcy, all those things. It's not good. It's not a place to be. Number 4, umbrella insurance. So umbrella insurance is an additional piece, especially if you own a home. So this is something, one of those situations, not everybody always needs umbrella, but umbrella can be extremely good for you. It kind of goes above and beyond what your current policy has. We have an umbrella policy for a home because our home is valued at what it is. We have our homeowner's insurance policy that covers it. The umbrella covers anything extra. So sometimes if something happens where our insurance only covers so much, the umbrella policy is kind of our emergency fund, right? It's the emergency fund to fill the gaps of where our homeowner's insurance doesn't fill. It is an essential part of insurance to make sure you're overly covered, or not overly covered, but you're properly covered. Because here's the thing, I've talked to people in situations where, depending on their job, think of those jobs like if you're a lawyer or you're a doctor, what does society say about you? Oh my gosh, you're rich. You have all kinds of money. So now you get an offender bender. right? You get in a wreck with somebody and they're like, oh, he's a doctor or she's a lawyer. I'm going to sue them. I'm going to sue them for everything they have because I know they got money and they just got got in a wreck with my car. I'm going to come after them. I'm going to come after their house, all these different things. Your auto policy probably doesn't cover enough. It doesn't have $1 million policy because your car is not worth $1 million. Probably doesn't cover your house. It's only $500,000 because it's not $1 million, but they're suing you for $1 million. Umbrella policy comes into play there. An umbrella policy protects you from those things happening. Number 5, and this is one that you will want to get when you're a little older, before health issues ideally, but I wouldn't wait till past 50, 60 to start looking into this. That's even getting a little late into the game. Long-term care insurance. Because here's the thing. There is a good possibility that at some point in your life, you are going to need long-term care or at least some sort of assistance, whether it's somebody coming to your house and helping you out, whether it's you're in a nursing home or assisted living, or you're full in, a dementia care facility. The dementia and Alzheimer's rates are significantly high, and they seem to get worse and worse every year. Long-term care insurance helps cover those bills for you, because here's the reality, and I hate even saying this out loud because it's sickening. But if you look at what the cost is for long-term care, you're looking at anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 a month for that care. And sometimes it's even higher depending on where you live. $4,000 to $7,000. Can you imagine your mortgage payment being that much? That's just for them to take care of you. Some facilities, it's all inclusive. Some of them, it's not. It is something that will easily drain your savings. It's going to drain your 401k, your IRA, your retirement. It is going to drain everything extremely quickly if you're going to be there for a while. So long-term care is an essential part because it protects you from that. And it's supplemental. It doesn't mean you have to have all of the money come from the long-term care. You could say, okay, I can do 50% for my retirement, and then I have a long-term care policy that does 50%. And that's how I pay the whole 100% for the long-term care that I'm in. So if you have parents that are older or grandparents and they haven't looked into this, and this is something to be careful of, because if you wait too long or you start to have issues with your health, like dementia or things like that, what's going to happen is they're going to deny you. And they're going to say, I'm sorry, we can't approve this policy for you. And then there's nothing you can do about it. So get it before something goes wrong, before something happens. It's not cheap, but it's cheaper than actually having to pay that out-of-pocket cost for long-term care. All right. Number 6, term life insurance. Okay. Term life insurance is essential. Unless you are completely debt-free, you own your house outright, you have all your assets covered, your family's good. If something were to happen, you have a good retirement account. Otherwise, most people are not in those situations. You need to have some you need to have term life insurance. Term life insurance means it's for a set period of time. And the whole goal of that is if something would happen, so say you're married and something happens to you, right? You pass away. If you are the one that provides majority of the income for your home, what's going to happen now to your family that income is now gone? And how are they going to pay the bills? And how are they going to deal with the debt? How are they going to do those things while also mourning your loss? They're not going to be able to. Term life insurance is essential. You need to have this if you have a family, if you have kids, if you're married, if you own a home, if you own cars, anything that you own that you don't have paid off entirely. You need to have this because this is going to cover you. The goal for term is that you have it, say you do a 20-year policy. That means your goal is within 20 years, you have everything paid off. So at the end of 20 years, when that term policy is over and you don't have it anymore, you're good. By that point, you have no debt. You don't owe anybody anything. You have your retirement set up. You're doing really, really well, where if something happens to you or your spouse, both of you will be just fine financially. Life insurance is essential. I mean, one of the worst stories I think I've ever heard about it was another coach friend of mine, and she was talking to us about it in a group. And what happened, it was a young couple. They were in their early 30s, had little kids, under the age of 5. And they were working on their term life, kind of like trying to pull it together. Like, yeah, we know we need to do this. We're working on it, those types of things. And what happened was he passed away, completely sudden, completely out of the gate, out of the blue, no health issues, nothing. He passed away. They didn't have a will. And the life insurance policy was sitting on the counter unsigned. What that means is it's invalid. It doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. So now this poor lady has lost her spouse. She has little kids to take care of and raise. He was the primary breadwinner. He took care of all their finances. And now he's completely gone. And she's sitting there. And even 6 months later, she still couldn't even get into the bank accounts or the money because she didn't have a will in place. And she didn't have any extra money going on because she didn't have a life insurance policy in place. It is essential. Make sure you're taking care of those things. All right. Number 7. Or I'm sorry. Yes, number 7, long-term. So long-term disability. So this is if you ever become disabled and you need to have money. This is not the government disability. This is something happens and you genuinely cannot work anymore. You have disability policies in place to help cover those things. Disability is one of those things that it can happen. It's actually a very high statistic. It can be anything from a work-related injury to, hey, I was doing something at my house and I fell down the stairs or I fell off the roof or whatever it is. And now you're disabled and you can't work anymore. You can't bring money into your family anymore. A disability policy protects you with that. So definitely look into those. Sometimes employers offer them. Sometimes you have to go to a broker outside of your company or your business or your organization to get that. And the last one is identity theft protection. So identity theft protection is something nobody really talks about. As one as, oh yeah, I know, I hear about it, whatever, no big deal. Here's the thing. In this day and age, this is probably one of the most likely things to happen to you than any of these other areas as of right now, is for your identity to be stolen. It may not be your full identity. Maybe it's just a credit card. Maybe it's just a bank account or something like that. But if you have this in place, identity theft protection protects you. It protects you because we are in a data age. We are in an age where I've been seeing recently in the news, all these big, huge organizations that are getting hacked and the information is getting stolen and the social securities of people are getting stolen. This is one of those things that you don't want to mess around with because I've talked to people who've had their identity stolen. It is a nightmare. You are looking at months, if not years, of time and money and energy to try to prove who you are. Imagine going to the bank to try to get money out of your bank account and they don't believe you are who you say you are. Imagine them saying, oh, you're not Tracy. This isn't you at all. I'm not giving you money. I'm not giving you access. In fact, I'm going to call the police on you because I think you're fraudulent and you're trying to steal this person's money. Imagine that happening to you. That's what happens when somebody steals your identity. You have to go through all these hoops, all these horrible situations to prove you are who you say you are. All right, it's kind of like those horrible nightmares that sometimes people have of, I don't have my name anymore. Nobody knows who I am anymore. That's what it is. Somebody steals that from you. They steal your entire identity. They can go open bank accounts in your name. They can go drain your savings account, your retirement account. They can destroy your credit. They can do all these horrible things because they are out there pretending to be you. And if you don't have protection against that, you're the one dealing with it. If you get life identity theft protection, which by the way is really cheap, you're looking at $150 a year maybe, and you get that, that means if something like that happens, they are the ones fighting for you. They are the ones dealing with all the drama and the frustration and the stress. It's not you. They're the ones fighting to get your identity back for you and to put those people in prison, right? It's not you. So get identity theft protection is an essential part of financial wellness. So talked about all these different areas. I know it's a lot to cover, but make sure that you have these because these are an essential part of financial wellness. You need to have these types of insurances because insurance is there to protect you when something bad happens, because it's not an if, it's a when, right? Something bad is always going to happen. It may not be a disability. Maybe it's a long-term care. Maybe it's not long-term care. It's a disability, whatever it might be, or loss of spouse, or you pass away early. Whatever it is, you need to have these things in place because they are there to protect you.